Om Bhavatapa Pranashinne Ananda Ghanamurte Jnana Bhakti Pradayinne Matastubhyam Namo Namaha. Jai Ma. Jai Ma. Today's interview is Shree Satyanandaji. Now Satyanandaji was very much a Ma devotee and he was in the ashram for a little while. But for him to follow all the traditions of the ashram was very difficult. He could not do it. So there was a point in time where he left the ashram and went on his own journey. He was basically a painter. And he had published a book called Shraddhanjali on Ma, and beautiful book, lovely pictures of Ma, which he had presented to me. This was actually the first time I met him during this interview. I had gone with a few devotees to the airport to receive him because he had an ashram in Assisi, which is Italy, and I believe it was a very beautiful ashram. I've seen some pictures of it. He had different temples. Obviously there was Ma's temple over there, then there was Lord Buddha, then there was Saint Francis of Assisi, there was Jesus Christ. All these murtis were there in the ashram, and I believe it was a very beautiful ashram. So he was running that ashram and he had a huge following. So this was the first time since I met him. I said, would you give me an interview? And he said, of course I'll give you an interview. So that's how this interview came about. Satyanandaji is no more today. And there was one more thing. He was very keen that I go and look after his ashram in Assisi. So that wasn't acceptable. He had come over also to meet my parents to tell them, that why don't you send her? So that wasn't possible. Anyway, and here his story is quite interesting. So have a look. Jai Ma. Jai Ma.
Namaskar.
Jai Ma. Swamiji, please tell us something about yourself before you met Ma.
You have to repeat me because...
Okay. आप माँ को मिले उससे पहले आप क्या थे, कहाँ थे, वो आप हमें बताइए.
I was a painter.
हाँ.
And I used to travel very much, and I came several times also Benares, and Ma was there. And one of my colleagues, he was from Dhaka. So once he said, here is now staying Dhaka Shabagir Ma. She used to be called then. Then I was not interested. I said, I have nothing to do with a woman. And because I was prejudiced, women cannot be a saintly person. So I hired a boat and I went around the Benares Ghat. I depicted my painting because it was not my time to meet with Ma. But if that time anybody could have said that once you will follow Ma and surrender her, I would not have believed it. I would have think that is a madman. Because every human being, when the time comes, then this time always Guru comes to you, not you go to Guru. Guru comes to you. Because Aadhar, जब आधार बनता है उसको जैसे magnetic attraction होता है ना, then it comes. So I was not aware of it, but there one thing. In spite of my hectic life as an artist roaming here and there, but I used to go, when I had free time, I used to go to Himalaya because I was attracted not only the visual aspects of the Himalaya, but the inner, because since time immemorial, all these sages, they had retreat and made sadhana only Himalayas, because India is a very hot country. In hot atmosphere, you cannot make your sadhana. So you need a cool atmosphere. That is why all the time whoever wanted to realize and know thyself, they went to Himalaya. That's why we used to call Devatma Himalaya.
Right.
So I used to go, not to find God, because I always believed man is the ultimate truth.
Right.
But who is that man? Who am I? Nobody can answer me. I have to find the truth with myself. And nobody can help it. So, but whenever I have free time, I used to retreat in solitude and beauty. Because in our ancient, Rishi said, Rasha Vaishad, beauty is the ultimate. So I was almost feeling that I was growing like a plant, you always giving water and then it goes. So somehow the natural beauty and the worship of nature made me, and unconsciously I was grown up for the spiritual path. And in 1955, I went to Simla because Delhi was very hot. But Simla I did not like. When the English people left, our Indian Sahibs, they are snobs, and I was irritated. They left everything, but हमारा देश का साहब ये सब एकदम बेकार है. So I was very irritated. I said, this is not a place for me. Then I went down to Solon, that is a small state, and there was a great philosopher, and he used to teach philosophy in President College of Calcutta, Presidency. So he had a house. He used to go sometime from Calcutta to study. So he said, I have a house. If you want, you can go, and there are plenty of books, you can stay there. So I found it is really a God grace that I could live alone, and plenty of books, all philosophical beside. And because when I was young, I used to think that through reading, knowing, I could go ahead. But later on I came to know, Vidya, Buddhi, these things, it is a great handicap. If you want to come towards God, you have to leave everything empty-handed and surrender totally. Ma once told me, Ore Baba, Boja, she used to joke with Bengali words. Boja means understanding. And the same words, Boja means heavy. तो वो माँ बोलता अभी कितना तुम इसके बोझा बनाया, अभी बोझा तुम छोड़ो. छोड़ो. But it was very difficult because I was made of the intellectual, highly intellectual. I used to think that I am the only intelligent man, and nobody, all are idiots. This was my arrogance, this was my vanity. But this thing had to drop before you come to this Amar Pathe Jatra. This is, Ma used to call Amar Pathe Jatra Jati Banjao, she used to say. So,
when did you...
And so on, I came down, then once I was sitting in a balcony, I was looking towards the mountain and meditating. And from the far distance, the Bengali Kirtan is coming through the waves of the, what is called that, like telephone wave, wavelength. So I was thinking, how could we hear? It is not Bengal, and Bengali typical Kirtan. It is coming through the ear and entering through my ear and going to my heart. And I was weeping like anything, without any reason, like children, because that words has entered in the depth of my heart. So I was restless. It was night. I did not know. In the early morning, I went to my neighbors and I asked, tell me if he was playing some records. He said, no, I really did not play any. Then I told him, he was a very old Sikh, Punjabi, with bearded man, but very pious. So I said, look, I have this, yesterday night I heard this thing, so can you tell me how it is possible? Then he said, Ore Baba, ये सोलन का महाराजा, उनको घर में बंगाल का एक संत वो आया, उनको घर में है, तो उधर कीर्तन होता है, तो वो कीर्तन आपसे सुना. तो हमने बोला कहाँ पर है, तो हमको बोला. लेकिन in daytime, that was from somewhere else it came, not my brainchild. So I went in the evening to play tennis. I was a very good tennis player, and there was a very good club there. So when I was playing tennis, all of a sudden I had an inner voice, leave, come to me. Then, as if somebody guiding me, I started walking, and middle of the road I met the very person that is Jogi Bhai. Later on I used to call him Jogi Bhai. That is Sagun ka Maharaja. Lekin he was so humble and so simple. He never uttered a single word that he is the person. So he only say, I asked him, please, could you tell me how to go Sagun Maharaja के house? तो बोला ये कहाँ से आया? कोलकाता से आया. अच्छा ये बात है. तो उन्होंने हमको समझे दिया इधर से जाके उधर पहुंच जाना. हमने सोचा somebody perhaps living here. So I asked him. He was simple and very humble. So I was very impressed. So I came, and that time it was summertime, and a mother was sitting in front of the palace. There was a courtyard. She was sitting in a small high table, and all the people were surrounding her, but nobody was speaking anything, all still. So I was surprised, what's the matter here? Because that time I did not know that all the ashram between 4:45 and 9 o'clock they keep moon. But I did not know anything, so I thought, what is happening here? And full of people and full moon. And माँ का इतना काला चूल था ना here, and it was flowing, and she was spotless white dress. भाई क्या बोलेंगे? हम तो आर्टिस्ट था, तो उनको देख के there was no subject. So if there is a subject I could paint, she's completely something which is impossible to explain by simple words. But I had a real darshan. Later on I came to know what is darshan. Darshan not means the eyes. Eyes needs a object, and then through process of this, then you can capture it, and then it goes to brain, and then you can, this is eyes on the lens, not eyes can see unless the brain works. So from the distance I could not, because everybody was still as if time and space has stopped. This sort of thing I had never in my life before any experience. Naturally I was spellbound. I was standing and full of moon. There was no light, nothing. And she was glowing like divine light. So, but I did not see her. Because if I would have seen my eyes and she was so beautiful, that would have been only a visual object, and I, being myself a painter, I would have loved to paint her a portrait. But that time she was not in a physical presence, but her, the what is called, that is not the body, that is the Bomashwari, that is glow is coming through this body, and I was absorbed like when you very tired you go under shower and take shower and then you clean and peace, and then so I was so peaceful. Then what happened? I did not know how long this will continue, and actually when I was full of this darshan, then I left the place without telling anybody. I returned to the house where I was staying. And here I must tell you something, because if I had seen what Anandamayee, that would not be anything. So that was what is called, that was a decisive meeting, and destiny brought me, because that time I was prepared for this darshan, otherwise it would have been nothing. Because before I used to go all the Himalayan pilgrimage centers, and I had grown up spiritually. So that right time, but nobody introduced me, nobody, nothing, so I was full, and I went to the it was a long story, but you must tell me how when I should
No, I
stop
want you
it.
to say.
Otherwise it will go whole night.
No, I want you to say. It's so beautiful,
So
Swamiji.
another question asked. This is how I met. I returned back.
Right.
Now next page.
Right. Now, what you need to tell us is how did you change, because you didn't have that spiritual inclination.
I did not
You were just
change.
one
Now
with
I
nature.
tell you.
What happened
When I
after?
returned, I was supposed to stay there, but after this what is called
Darshan.
as it has gone back from nowhere it came, it returned, then I felt orphan. Then I think, who am I? These questions arise to me. I could not sleep, I could not, then I returned back to Delhi. And it was a very, a day full of what is called shower and lightning, and that day nobody should move anywhere. But it was prepared, that is because sometimes it happens that you have to go through this what is called natural obstacles you have to overcome, then you become more strong. So I came daily. So I told all my friends this thing, but they thought this is nonsense. You being a painter, this thing you should not think it. So even they said this thing, but I could not, because something happened. Only have this darshan with Ma. Ma later on said, बहु जनों का सुकृति के फल ये शरीर का साथ तुम्हारा। माँ इतना विनय से बोला।
जय माँ।
ये दर्शन हुआ। तो भगवान का कृपा, माँ तो हम नहीं करता, भगवान का कृपा। Then what happened? I was that time working as an assistant curator of National Gallery, Delhi. That was Jaipur House. The government of India acquired that. There was never before any National Gallery. So curator Mukul there, he was a famous painter from Shantiniketan, and Tagore, with Tagore he went all over the world. So he knew me, so he called me, you come and work with me. So I used to live with him and used to go together on feet, because it's very near Jaipur House in Delhi. But I could not concentrate anything. Then this man said, what happened to you? Because many things, oh, you must have fallen in love with some young girl, and this is the symptom. He said, yes, I fall in love, but not a girl. It is, I cannot define what it is. So it is love, but this is divine love.
Yes. Swamiji, I want to ask you,
Now,
you met Ma, you went through this experience. What do you think is Ma?
No.
According to you, what do you think is Ma? Is she your mother?
Yes, what I think,
Yeah.
because I think she has manifested in physical form. She has no previous birth. She had nothing to do with karma. She was born out of divine love to help us. Because we prayed for her, and I think she has no reason to born as a human being, but people wanted it.
Right.
You know, sometimes, like Bhagavad Gita said, Sambhavami Yuga Yuga Bhutra. This is because time to time these people come down out of compassion, otherwise we would not be nowhere. So, but when I used to sit Ma, she physically does not exist, but she eternal, something eternal, but physical things she appeared only because for us, for mass, they need something. Like
Do
India.
you think she came only for a few people?
No.
Or she came for everybody?
For whole world. She does not belong to any religion, no dogmas, no doctrine, that is universal. That is Sanatana Dharma, and she was very, very strict about all the ancient rishis, exactly. You know, whenever in our ashram she used to organize any events, spiritual, it was exactly so minute details she instruct everybody, And if you come from outside, you thought as if time has gone back and it is thousands of times as rishis are some she transformed the whole thing. So anybody could have gone, whether you were ever it not, but the abogahan, जैसे गंगा में abogahan करो, शावर में स्नान करने से इसके फर्क बहुत है. जब abogahan होता है सारा शरीर का, तो mother was like that. We used to abogahan करते हैं. तो स्नान पूर्ण स्नान, ऐसे स्नान नहीं होता है घर में. तो माँ का पास जो जाता है, उनको पास में बैठने से हमारा जो अंतर में जो कुछ है, जो अज्ञान रूप से जो अज्ञान रूप से जो लेटेंट, किंतु माँ के पास जाने से तुम्हारा भीतर जो कुछ है उसका प्रकाश होता है. That is why Ma is so great. She never imposed anything on her ideas to you. माँ बोलते तुम जहाँ भी हो वो से शुरू करो. And Ramakrishna said, "Joto mo, toto pot." My Ma has gone even beyond every human being. Has his own way. So that is why she's so universal. And that's why I surrendered completely to her.
So you left everything and went to the ashram?
Yes, I went to ashram without thinking, as if somebody guided me. Because if I would have decided, I would have repented all through my life and I would see I'd spoiled my life. But there was no, when there are two things. If inner voices come, there is no questions of dondo. Dondo नहीं होता, dondo से दूर होता है. So dondo नहीं हुआ, क्योंकि ये उपस है. I was fortunate. How it is, I heard that in never, because that was my time.
Right. How old were you, Swamiji, that time? How old were you?
And then I constantly, it happened once from Benares. Sometimes she used to go Agatavash, only few people, without telling. So morning she, mother is nowhere. So I asked some people, where is Ma? So they are annoyed. Who are you supposed to know? Where do you come from? So, because I was very childlike, everybody feeling disturbed, my way of talking, everything, but I was spontaneous. So they would say, they know, but they don't say anything, where is Ma? So I was crying. They said, now the time eating. I said, I don't eat. I felt as if I am dying.
Yeah.
So I must see Ma.
So beautiful.
And then they telephoned Ma. There was a new boy came and he is stopping eating and anything. What will do? We'll send him home. तो माँ तो करुणामयी, माँ दयामयी. दया उनको हुआ, बोलो उसको हमारे पास भेज दो. तो माँ इलाहाबाद में था, वो गंगा किनारे, वो जयपुर है, उस जयपुरी आता, तो उनको एक मकान था.
आप कितने साल के थे उस वक्त? How old were you?
Now I'm telling. This is 3 years. 55, 56, 57, 58, 4 years. I constantly, and since then, nobody could stop me. Wherever mother used to go, I used to. I tell you, once Bhaskaranda Swamiji and this Panuda, because Panuda used to organize this thing, they were gossiping. They said, the Satyananda everywhere he used to go, but who will pay his ticket? So I was like, Ma, so I'm Panuda. ऐसा बोला तो बच्चा का हृदय मानते हैं. जैसे माँ एक दफे बोला, एक बच्चा लोग वो स्कूल में जाते थे तो स्कूल का हॉलीडे था, सब कुछ मास्टर को देते हैं. उसको गरीब था, कुछ नहीं था. वो माँ को बोला, सब लोग आज स्कूल का हमारा मास्टर मशाई को दे रहा है, हम लोग कुछ नहीं. तो ऐसे बोला, हम लोग गरीब है, कुछ नहीं है. तो माँ बोलो विरक्त हो के बोला, भगवान को बोलो. तो इतना उसको सरलता था. ओ भगवान के जाकर, भगवान আমার মাস্টার মশাই সবাইকে দেবে, আমি মা বলেছে যে তোমাকে বলতে. এই যে ভাবনা, এই সততা, এই সিম্পলিসিটি আমরা হারিয়ে গিয়েছি. সেই জন্য আমরা পাই না. ওই সরলতা যদি তোমার আসে, ভগবান ওখানেই দেখা না দিয়ে পারেন না. তখন আমের সময় না একটা আম পেল, ওই আমটা ওর মাস্টার বলে, এই আমটা কোথায় পেলে? ওটা তো সিম্পল. ও বললো কি, এই আমি মা বললো ভগবানকে বলো, ভগবানকে বলেছি, তুমি ভগবানকে ডেকেছো? হ্যাঁ। তো ও মাস্টার বলে আমাকে দেখাতে পারবে? তো সিম্পল তো, হ্যাঁ মাস্টার আপনি আমার সঙ্গে আসুন। ও গেল, ও ভগবানের কথা বলছে, ও তো দেখতে পাচ্ছে না, কারণ ওর চর্মচক্ষু দিয়ে দেখা যায় না। ওই ছোট ছেলেটা, তার সততা, তার ইনোসেন্স, আমাকে অনেক বলে, what do you think of God? I said, God I do not think with green eyes, blonde hair, all these things. This is images everybody can say, depict, whatever may be. But I feel that Nirakar Brahma, that absolute innocence. And that innocence drop when we born as a child, everybody have. But when we grow up, we lose. And then we go out of the road. So, what I was telling, I lost it. Then this thing I must take, whether you like it or not.
Right.
I was there and I did not know that in ashram itself they have a separate Pangat hota hai, Brahmin khata hai, alag Olok khata hai. So, but I was like this, and there are many sadhus, so I sat down with them and I was eating. And all of a sudden mother from her came, Satyananda, तुम उधर क्यों कौन बोला है तुमको? तो विद्यापीठ का लड़का लोग सब था, उनको हमको प्यार करता है, हम लोग बोला। तो उनको कुछ नहीं बोल के बोले इधर आओ। तो हमको इतना दुख हुआ क्योंकि हम नया आया, हमने बोला एक भगवान का रूप से माँ शरीर धारण किया, उनको आसपास में ये भेदाभेद ज्ञान क्यों? All these Pandas, Brahmins, they invented this thing, but our Shastra never it has been uttered. Manush Atma equal. That Atma has nothing to do whether you rich, Brahmin, or poor, or illiterate, or educated. That doesn't matter. But if you are educated society, you will get privilege, you will get benefit. But for God, already equal. So I was terribly shocked. And then I could not. Then Ma once said, "What for you have come to the ashram? You can change the world. You change it." तो हमको ऐसा स्पर्श किया, और स्पर्श जो होता है, स्पर्श से हमको हमारा भीतर जितना इतना जी हमारा कॉन्फ्लिक्ट था ना मेंटल, so all vanished. When vanish, when birds is small, Ma gives everything, but when wings come, goes. And mother even asked where you were going. So I had the wings. I went. I came to Delhi. And I left when nobody knew it. And I was very famous painter. That time, the Minister of External Affairs Delhi bought my painting because I was a traditional Abanindranath Thakur Nandalal Bose style, and Indian government wanted to send some embassies in abroad something Indian. So they bought it from me, and there are lots of money. But the man, he said, we do not know where you are, but your money is there. So it is a coincidence. I said, give me that money. I will fly. I have wings. There is no destination, no limits. So I went. Without knowing anything, without any reason, I take a ship. I went to England. And during the voyage, I used to make portrait just for fun, and I used to present them. And people came to know I am a very good painter, etc. Then I came to know one Englishman. He came to India, visiting Calcutta, and he became very friendly. He said, let me know where you are going. Do you know somebody, where you stay? I said, I do not know. I am going. So he thought he is a madman. London is not like तुम्हारा मामा का घर नहीं है, उधर जाओगे, उधर तुम तो मरोगे, खाना भी नहीं मिलेगा, कहाँ रहोगे? So it was considered, I must meet that man. So he was the president of the Young Men's Christian Association, YMCA. So, when you don't think God take care of you. But if you think God said I can sleep now, you are very good. You do yourself. But you said you are everything, so I surrender you, then he cannot sleep. So this is the way. I never taught it. So that everybody go Europe some reason. That time I was a painter, but I didn't go for a paint. So I had wings. I want to, not in a case. Somebody open it.
So what made you leave India and go and start your, how did you start your ashram? Sadhana ashram, that comes much later.
After 7 years, I'm coming. So I came and he gave me residence. But then once I went to London School of Oriental Studies, is very famous, and there Dr. Vasham used to give it talk seminar. He has written many good books, authority about Indian culture and everything. So there I met an Englishman. He speaks very good Sanskrit. He has translated our Bhagavad Gita, Veda, Upanishad in English. So it is all coincidence, you know, because I was ready for that and now I have nothing to think. Then I said, I don't like YMCA because they are Christian and they are telling some nonsense about us. They do not know anything, and this I cannot stand. So he said, my house has a room, but I can ask my wife. Then you can come. We never take a rent it, but you are like one of our sons. So this is God works. Tomar karma tumi karo ma loke bhagavi. This is my own experience. From 1959, I 40 years, 43 years, how I live. Because in Christianity said divine providence. But divine providence, tum asatho, tum badmash, tum a false, a charlatans, then God will not provide you. You have to prove, not people. People you can cheat, you can deceive anybody, but can you deceive yourself?
No.
So then I went, and then when he came to know I was a famous painter, then he said, you must paint. I will provide you everything and you will be famous, you have much money. So, you know, this is not that he was saying, as he thought it is God himself, otherwise where are you go? So within 2 months, I had about 25, 27, 20, enough for one private show, not a group. And I used to stay living in a very highly educated and cultured place, Hampstead Heath. This is outside of London. They are mostly the writers, philosophers, poets live there. It is a very good place. And there was an everyman theatre, and they have a foyer gallery. There is theatre also, there is a gallery. So how I came to know this? So I, first in London, my exhibition, it was 1960.
I want to ask one question 60. Here. One question.
Yes.
After meeting Ma, why did you want to go to England and do
because
your painting
exhibition? I
exhibition?
could not stand this
That is why
discrimination.
You left. Okay. So did you tell, when you confronted Ma, Ma let you go?
Yes.
Ma let you go?
Ma said, you change. You cannot change the world.
Right. And so, she let you go.
So if I want to change, then I need a space.
Right.
But in case I cannot grow, so I tell you, then the first exhibition, that time M.C. Chagla, he was the commissioner, and he later became a Minister of Justice and Central Government. And T.N. Cole, he only a few years before he died, he has written a very good book. He had in Shimla, near Shimla Orchard, so he used to. He was very famous, and he was also ambassador to Russia. But that time, in 60, he was the only deputy high commissioner. So all these, and Srimati Tagore, all these people came from nowhere. And you know, the cultured English people, when they were here, not all English people are not came here in India for business, but they were cultured. So when they saw this typical Indian traditional painting in heart of London, said everybody want to buy it, to keep it. So in first day, everything was sold out. And it was highly appreciated by press, public, everything. Then you know, I was highly sensitive, and English people are very tight-lipped, you know. They were in our country, so they cannot tolerate that these people now in hard, well, they are in front of us with big cars and everything going. They don't say, because they are gentlemen, educated.
Right.
But being I myself insensitive, I felt this is not a new place. Then my exhibition, you can make it short afterwards. Then my exhibition, many people from everywhere came. There was a French ambassador. So somebody introduced me. Then I said, when we used to study in Calcutta art school, we always thought Paris is the Makkah for artists.
Right.
There you can see all original painting, not reproduction.
Right.
So I said, look, he was very impressed. I want to go Paris.
Right.
But you must give me a scholarship.
Right.
Then he said, this is not my personal thing, I cannot give it. There is terms and regulation, everything, government, through government of India, they have, every year they select some people, and then, but I was sometimes it was very pertinent. Somebody saying, tell him. Then he said, come tomorrow my office. I will see what I can do. So give me a form, I have to fill up, because then he said, I will recommend it, I will send to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Culture Ministry. If you have a chance, I will let you know. So I was 2 years in England, but I could not. That is not a country for artists. So then once he telephoned me, the Cultural Ministry has sanctioned. They have given you 1 year's lodging, food, every expenses. This is called a scholarship. So I went immediately to Paris, and I was École Supérieure de Beaux-Arts. That is the superior art school in Rue de Seine in Paris. There, like you do postgraduate, I did it graphics. That is etching, anything, because you can choose one subject. In art school we are doing everything, but they are one subject.
Yes. Like a specialized
I was very fond of etching, dry point, all these things, metal. So, because I was a very good, rapid sketch, so I thought I must learn. So, I joined there. So, 1 year when finished, then I asked for renew another year. So they gladly did it. And all these scholarship holder, they give also the teaching of a lesson for how to speak French. That's why I can speak French. So it is a mandatory obligation that before you go to study, 3 months they send outside Paris, only for foreigners. They can learn quickly. There is a method, modern. You can learn quickly, you can speak, you can read everything. So I did it. So then I made exhibition, and I came to know famous artist, all these things, and I was very happy. I forgot all about my because it happened. So all the European country I have never gone to any private galleries, no commercial. Always a cultural exchange, because I represent a true Indian art. So UNESCO, like a British Council, all these things, all cultural things. So after having all over Europe, that was last, I think 1964, last exhibition I did in Athens, that was organized by British Council, because, and this British Council director, he was a good friend of India. He's not a typical. So after exhibition opened, I was a good swimmer, and in 1964 Greece was very good, not much so crowd. So I was swimming, and everybody went away. I thought, no use of returning home, I can sleep here. So it was an island, and that day was full moon like Ma, so it must be that to remind, otherwise I forgot everything. So the full moon, all of a sudden, this, from nowhere, this has been written yesterday in paper, Gagan. Gagan means Akash. Ma appeared. Ore Baba, akhon tumi ghare fire esho. If it would have been my own brainchild, I would have said, there is no hurry, I can go tomorrow or day after tomorrow. But because it is not my words, there cannot be any doubt. It executes. you will not believe, immediately I came, even no clothes, costume, swimming costume, I came to have, that was night, and I am not supposed to, because English people are very, you must make an appointment, all these formalities. But that time, no need of any, like when the प्लावन होता है ना नदी आ जाता है तुम्हारे घर सब दोपहर ले चले जाते हैं हमारा भीतर माँ exactly there must be some meaning of years like 3 and exactly 7 years I stayed because 7 in our Hindu philosophy the numbers is a significant thing also Jewish people they are their symbol they say 7 so why it is 7 it can be 5 it can be 9 but it was a time and Ma from nowhere, that same সেই আলুলায়ুধ চুল আর সেই সাদা বস্ত্র সে আকাশ থেকে তখন মা বললো এই যে ছবি আঁকছো সব কিছু এটা তো শাশ্বত নয় তুমি এর পিছনে যা শাশ্বত তার জন্যই ধরো জীবনটা এইভাবে বৃথা দেবে তা আমার কথা তো না ভাই তিনি কৃপা করলেন তখন আমি এই ডাইরেক্ট ব্রিটিশ কাউন্সিল বললাম ওদের একটা ইয়ে থাকে কোটা থাকে এই প্লেনে সিটের কারণ দেয়ার ওয়াজ নো সিট অ্যাভেলেবল আমি বললাম আপনি আপনার যে ডিপ্লোম্যাটিক কোটা তার থেকে আমাকে একটা টিকিট নেক্সট দিন মা বলতো না কালকের কাজ আজ করা আজকের কাজ আমি করো because there is question of time factor if you delay the same coincidence you will lose forever so I have to somehow and I took the plane it was guiding I was now emotion this is not the thing story this is a real thing so I came to Delhi ashram I asked where is Ma? They said Ma is now Dehradun. So I took a train and it was night and early morning I came there and I could not sleep anything, I came like anything. But nobody recognized me because 7 years after and they did not remember because I was very unwanted everywhere. Oh, he is not supposed to live in ashram. He don't meditate, he don't jop a mantra, nothing and he's disturbing elements. They think that Ma will kick you out. And they used to say that Ma has kicked you out. I said, hey, Amara, kripa, Ma amko. Now, I'll let you know. Then, Ma, there was a very nice man. His name was Bibuda. He used to sing.
Yes, very beautiful.
इतना भाई गाना प्रोफेशनल होता है उसको जैसा सत्यम गाना उच्चारण करता है क्या बोलता है भाई शब्द ब्रह्म होता है ना शब्द ब्रह्म से तुम्हारा रोमांच हो जाता है हम बहुत प्रोफेशनल सिंगर हो इतना अच्छा नहीं गाना है लेकिन उत्साहक उसको डेथ भी कितना अनफॉर्चुनेट जो वो हारमोनियम लेके करता है वो कान में नहीं सुनता है सुने के बाद you satisfy your senses because it is beyond this physical thing so माँ उसको बोला ओरे बिबू ओके निये तोर घरे ओई मेजेते शोबे and then that Khoitar that is Bata company he made a new house not yet completed Ma was living there and Khoitar organized, every year our ashram organized some places Sangyam Saptah, 1 week. Still they do. But sometimes some Swamis, some Mahatmas, they invite, not necessarily now, ashram do it. So, next morning, early morning when we meditate, and there was a pause, and Ma came out of the pandal, and everybody used to go. I was going also. Then, all of a sudden, Ma said, come here with me. And in the ground of the Huitan, there was a banyan tree and with a platform. So she said, don't come, all other people. They were standing distance and Ma took me. And it was beautiful. I wanted to buy that trees, but Raja Vens, they said, you must buy everything. I cannot sell only trees. But I have no money, so I cannot. I regret it very much because still I go in and then I look at because it has been sold some people, but I cannot enter. So I only look because always also perhaps our ancient time trees has a significant thing. Also Buddha was enlightened in his banyan tree. So also Ayurveda also all the medicine Ayurveda, the science of life. Now Western countries are very much interested in this thing because they're fed up with the medicine. So what happened? So it has a significance. It is like ancient time rishis, disciple, gach ke niche boita. The ma. Because not ma said, because what I did, ये ऊपर सब recorded हो गया ना. The ma is a representative here, so that from today you will be known as Satyananda. For truth, you have sacrificed your all life. But I was a child, like what I did, I didn't take any importance. So
what were you, Swamiji, what were you before Satyanand? What was your name before Satyanand?
Shushil.
Shushil.
It was a very good. We used to read Shushil, Shuvod, Balok, Jahapal. I was bad because my nature was like. So Ma said, "Tum to Shushil." Shil, Shushil, Ja Charitra, Shil, Shushil. So I was not interested in name, but it was like when you, after some years, you promoted, then you get a degree, whether you like it or not. That is a recognition. Also military people, they have some. So, Ma gave me. And later on I came to know that Ma hardly gave formally any mantra, or then Didima, she was sannyasi, so all our Assamite took sannyas from Didima. Ma never gave it. So, I do not know what it is, but I was not interested in formalities. I love Ma, that's all. Like Gita said, Sarva dharmam parityajya mamekam sharanam bhaja. वो यदि आगे को तो वो पहले बोलते तो गीता नहीं होता. लास्ट में बोला अर्जुन को, अभी तो समझे सब कुछ, but mamekam sharanam. So I from the first beginning, not that I have seen Ma, I have seen my own self. If I had seen Ma, I would have been fanatics. I had been bigots. And I was fortunate, I have seen my own. Then I was crying like that, I must have that. Like, in mirror, if you go, if your nose is like that, you can see that. But if you bring a cat thinks there is another cat, like that. So, but I have seen my own. So that's why everything is changed. So then I was running after that. There was no meaning of life. There was no utility of the life, like my used to say, Hari Katha, Asha, Pita, Bata. Then it is prepared. The same thing I went several times in that book, Munshi, who created Bharati Vidya Bhavan. Kel Munshi and Leela Munshi, I have a beautiful photo. And he's opening Benares. That time I was there, but my time is not there. When I have to went to Himalaya, because I was very fond of Himalaya, because since time immemorial, people whoever came to God, they got there. So that is the place to meet Ma. So then Ma said, "Come with me." Ma when the Khoitan house and Kishanpur house, a little distance, about 2 kilometers. So everybody wants to, Ma, hamara kara, idhar aao, Ma, walking like, Ma jab chalte the na bhai, kya, pa to unko jamin mein nahi lagte. To hum aisa kaisa ho gaya, sab jivan badal gaya. So then, because I was not born as a Brahmin and our ashram is very orthodox, and they never allowed me Shiva temple, that was founded by Bholanath. So Ma Pujari ko bolay khulo. He knows me. The Ma, when Ma said, the Ma bola idhar boit ke 1 lakh job karna. वो जो मंत्र दिया ना हमको. So I did not know. So Ma बोलो तुम शब्द उच्चारण करने तो तुम्हें नींद आ जाएगा. Really, if you don't sound. So I have to, and all my mouth is full of these, because I have to shout. And there are kind of Shiva Linga, that was Bholanathji used to puja, and behind that was a full big photos. I do not have seen completely naked.
Yes,
Bholanathji.
yes.
Beautiful.
No.
And I was very ascetic, fond of it. I was little bit looking like him.
Achha.
Really, my hand held it.
Yeah.
So, but then I was just like child like then, I was hungry.
Yeah, yeah.
But Ma said, why you have to do? So he said, kor gun ke kor gava. हम बोला माँ ये आप कैसे रहेंगे? वो ऐसे कौर के करो. जैसे जॉब करता है ना, हमारा एक जॉब ऐसा करता है, you count it. So I सीखा. Then, but Ma knew perhaps, so Ma came. The Ma when came, that's why I'm very fond of some dark green coconut. पानी पिला. कब जब उपवास रहता है ना, ये ग्रीन कोकोनट का नहीं तो कोई फ्रूट जूस इसमें शरीर ठीक रहता है. नहीं कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, पानी के अंदर थोड़ा नींबू दे दो.
Right, right.
So she was prepared because otherwise I would have some physical disorder because I never did this thing. No?
Right.
So this thing, nobody knows. Because if I say Ma give herself this name and this, they will say Ma never did it, you are Mitta.
Right.
But my name, then mother, when I left ashram, mother, Gopal Mandir है बनारस में, वो उसको बोला ऐसा ऐसा बैठ के तुम्हें बोलो কথা দাও গুরুগিরি করবে না কিন্তু সৎ জীবন যাপন করবে আর তোমার নাম সত্যানন্দ এই শরীর সঙ্গে আছে মিথ্যা কথা বলবে না তুমি না খেয়ে মরবে মিথ্যা কথা বলবে এটা যদি মা যদি লেখাপড়া শেখা কথা তো এক কান দিয়ে যেটা আরেকটা এটা মার কথাই ব্রহ্মস্বরূপ শব্দ ব্রহ্ম আমাদের আবার বাইবেলও লিখেছে at the beginning there was nothing only words so it's similar শব্দ ব্রহ্ম সেই জন্য আগে তো উচ্চারণ করতো কানে কানে ওই যেখানে লেখা আরম্ভ হয়ে গেল আমাদের শান্তিটি নষ্ট হয়ে গেছে কারণ then you say I know thank you আর গুরু যখন মন্ত্র দিত অন্য কেউ জানতে পারতো না তাহলে ওর অ্যাকশনটা হয় না এগুলো সব সায়েন্টিফিক আচ্ছা then once I was eating and one of the I don't want to mention the name here he was very famous in Daso and Sadhu गेरुआधारी हमको बोला उधर हम खा रहे थे एक साथ बोला सुअर का बच्चा you know son of a pig this is very I could not my whole blood in spite of everything I was trembling like anything but I respect because he is a saintly man but I ran away and there was a bus coming down from Usuri I wanted to, he did not stop, I want to catch it, but I fall down, all my clothes was blooded. And Ma said, Anil Ganguly, there was an advocate, he was a very nice man, and Ma said, go and bring him. But I was very strong, I give him a blow, he'd fall down on the street. I said, you people nonsense, you are here. And মানুষকে যারা এত ছোট করে শঙ্করাচার্য বলছে সর্বঙ্কলিদং ব্রহ্ম তাহলে তো উল্টে যাচ্ছে তোমাদের শরীরেরা সেই অষ্টবক্ষ মুনি ওর অষ্টবক্ষ থেকে হ্যাঁ করেছিল বলে তোমার হচ্ছে আমার শরীরটা কি আমার এটাকে দুঃখ হলো সেটা আমি তারপরে আমি ফিরলাম না আমি দিল্লি এসে আবার চলে গেলাম এখন ভগবান তো করে আমার যদি এই দিকে না থাকে আমি যখন ইটালিতে গেলাম ওখানে 500 years before একটা মনেস্ট্রি ছিল যেখানে 300 খ্রিস্টান মঙ্ক সাধনা করত এবং one of the monk ওই বইটা আছে became Pope Gregory the 14th that was 14th century so then it was Montagon on the top of a mountain it's a beautiful place I did not know anything and it was abundant and it was offered to me and with people young people that was the beginning of the hippies all used to come to India.
Which year was this? Which year?
That was 60, up to 66. Because until 64 I painted, then I came to India. So, and it was amazing because that was a national monument. But never, so it was given to me but you cannot buy it. So They said, you use it because you being a spiritual person. But they thought I am a Christian because I had long hair and with color. So they gave it to me. When so many people used to come, came to know that I am not baptized, then they said, this is a monument national and how a Hindu monk can be here. So it was a scandal in the paper. And even Superintendent Bellart, even Fine Arts, because there was no any Latin modern. So there was a hole in 14th century. Oh. So I used to live there. I made a, I did not know it needed permission. Without permission, I made a modern toilet, flush.
Okay.
So somebody came to know the excuse and they said, you have spoiled our national monument. So it was paper. I said, I have spoiled. 500 years before it was left and it was falling down everything, and all the young people came to me without any money. We have restored it, and thousands with bus full of people used to come. There was a photo, every day 300, 400 people I had to provide prasad. How I could? There was no light, no electricity, but I was like anything. I was like a butterfly. There was no light, no water. But I was so happy because that was a what is called sanctified by Christian monks, and one of the monks, can you imagine, became Pope. That is highest. So how an Indian come? Because when God has no barrier, God said, okay, you are disgusted with it, you can. So I was there 2 years. But then, you know, this is still now, this Catholicism is so strong in Italy. You know, Vivekananda made every part of the world, Ramakrishna Mission, he could not succeed in Italy. Because 99.9% Catholic, they say, Sadharma Nidanam Sayo Parobhama Tumra Jao Tomade. Ami Jodi, a Hindu Dharma, Ghantanere Pujo Karta, they could have kicked me out. কিন্তু মায়ের কথা যখন বলি বলে এটা আমাদের খ্রাইস্ট বলেছে, সেখানে তো ওরা খিদে ফেলে। মার যে বাণী সে কোনো দেশ কাল স্থান কাল পাত্রে বাধা নয়, কারণ তিনি তো লেখাপড়া সেখানে যা আসতো সর্বকালের সব কোনো কপিরাইট নেই। একটা লেখক একটা বই কপিরাইট তুমি বলতে পারবে না। আমি দেখেছি যা যে কথা আমাদের উপনিষদ বলেছে সেই কথাই বলেছে বুদ্ধ, সেই কথা আমার সান ফ্রান্সিস বলেছে, শুধু বিভিন্ন সময় বিভিন্ন ভাবে বিভিন্ন ভাষায়, কিন্তু এক অংশ বিপ্র বহুধ বদন্তি, truth is one, sage speaks different. So if I want a glass of water, if I say pani le aao, they will not bring. I'll be angry, but they did not know what I'm asking for. But once I said un bicchiere acqua, they call Italian water acqua, they will bring me. So there is no question of any conflict because I needed water. I must speak their language. So they brought it. But people, if you are thirsty, no matter what language you speak, because if you are not thirsty, they said, Amar Matribhasha khub bhalo, Umar Bhasha bhalo na, ei sob jhagdaঝাটি করে.
How did the ashram started in Assisi?
I told you.
And what are the activities?
This scandal came.
Right.
So these Christian people said, either you become a Christian, you can continue, otherwise. I said, I have no religion. What is my religion? Religion of man. সবার উপরে মনুষ্যত্ব তার উপরে নেই। শুধু in near future, when all organized religion, it will disappear like Berlin Wall. But man, this is longing for God, nobody will change. Right. No matter what language, what religion.
What are the activities in
your ashram? And then Assisi, because when we were once sitting at Monte Corona, that is the monastery, and we did not know where to go. I have decided I come back India. They said India is too far. If we go India, we cannot go. So then they decided that then we can find another place. And then Assisi, it was very near. And it was the most sacred place in all Christianity. Even Pope, any Pope, when elected, first time they go kneel down. When I came 24, Pope organized one international prayer. All the 14 religion came, and also every year I go. They invite me. I speak fluent Italian. So in Assisi, nobody now asked me to go out. We have, that is 50 acres of land, whole mountains, where I got money. I had nothing. That is divine providence.
Swamiji, one question, just 3 minutes.
Yes.
What made you, do you think it was your karma that took you from India to Italy?
No, not karma, because like you know, in Sicily, island in Italy, that is because of Etna, that is a living volcano. Every year they comes, that is lava. When it become cold, it is very fertilized. And that's why in Sicily, all the fruits grows naturally. They export all over the world. So this plant, once I wanted to make it Assisi, it cannot grow.
Right.
So you have to that land. Right. So when I was disgusted about this discrimination of man, naturally, but my destiny said, where you will grow, I will transfer there, transplantation. Okay. But there I never feel that I am out of India.
Right. One more question. What are the activities from morning to evening? What do you do in the ashram?
I call this ashram, I wanted to call it Anandamayee ashram. The Ma was still living. Ma bola, tum to देश में है, वो देश जहाँ भी रहो, जो रिलीजन में रहो, साधना बगैर कोई भगवान का लाभ नहीं था. तो माँ मुख से साधना करता, उनको साधना समझा. But that is only name. But I call it Inter-Religious Dialogue Center. So in this same place we have Buddha temple, we have Christian church, we have Hindu temple, all sort of things. So when people come, I don't impose any Hinduism. I say, you are Christian, you become good Christian, we can live together. If you are Buddhist, we have a beautiful Buddhist temple, and many Buddhists, they said, we want to copy, who made it? I said, no. It cannot be copied, it made for this ashram. Anyway, so it was good, and when all the people gathered there, I'm nobody there. And that's why I still remain as I was born, and I will die as the same. But God working through me, because tini jontri, ami jontro. But if I had some spiritual qualities, I could have done many things. But once I surrendered, there is a story, Ganesh and Kartikeya. You know, once Parvati said, Durga, but Tuma দুজন তো খুব যে আগে তাড়াতাড়ি এসে পৃথিবী ঘুরে এসে আসতে হবে তাকে তোমাকে আমি দেবো. তা গণেশ তো খুব বুদ্ধিমান, বলে কোথায় দুনিয়া ঘুরবো, মার চারিপাশে গন্ডি দিয়ে ওখানে বসে আছে. আর কার্তিক তার ময়ূরের পেখম দিয়ে সারা ঘুরে অহংকার, আমি যাবো. এসে দেখে শালা ওই গণেশ বসে আছে ওখানে, ওই পেট মোটা. ওই তুমি কি করে এলো, বলে তুমি তো পৃথিবী ঘুরলে, পৃথিবীটা ওই এখানে মা রেখেছে. এইসব গল্প আছে, পুরাণের গল্প. তা আমি ওই বিদেশে গিয়ে মাকে আরো বেশি পেয়েছি, কারণ একটা ডিস্টেন্স হলে সেই ডিস্টেন্স আরো পূর্ণ রূপে দেখা যায়. আর মার কোনো মা আমাদের ছোট্ট বাংলাদেশে খেওড়ায় আমি গিয়েছি, সেখানে জন্মেছে, তিনি তো আর কোন দেশকাল স্থান পাত্রের মধ্য নন.
জয় মা, জয় মা.